Welcome to the Blinded Truth podcast, True Shots, where real stories meet real healing. I am your host today, Destinnee Vance, and today's episode is titled, Who Are You Without Survival Mode? Okay. Everybody talks about making it through, but not everybody talks about what it takes to come out of survival mode. The hard moments, the trauma, the seasons where you weren't living, you were just trying to make it. And for a lot of us, survival mode became our identity. It taught us how to move, how to think, how to protect, everything. But it also taught us how to hide, how to shut down, and how to live guarded. So today, we're asking a real question. Who are you? Who are you when you're no longer just surviving? Who are you when you don't have to fight for your peace? When you're not operating from fear, trauma, or lack? Because healing will require you to meet a version of yourself you've never seen before. A version of you that isn't just strong, but soft. Not just guarded, but open. Not just surviving, but actually living. And that can feel uncomfortable because survival mode kept you safe, but it also kept you stuck. This episode is powered by Destiny is by Choice Support Services because your journey, your voice, and your truth matter. So, I know that was a lot of what I said. So, let's slow things down for a bit because it's going to get real. A lot of people don't even realize they're in survival mode. It becomes second nature. Wake up, push through, handle business, take care of everybody else, ignore how you feel, repeat. And you get so used to functioning in chaos that peace starts to feel unfamiliar. Let that sit for a second because some of us don't trust peace because we've never experienced it consistently. We question it, we wait for something to go wrong, we sabotage it before it even has a chance to stay. Why? Because survival mode taught us that something is always about to happen. So we stay ready, guarded, and on edge. Even when there's no real threat anymore. And the truth is, survival mode will keep you alive, but it will not allow you to live. There's a difference. Survival says, do whatever you have to do to make it through. But healing says, you don't have to live like that anymore. And that transition right there, that's the hard part. Because now you have to unlearn everything that kept you going. You have to unlearn overthinking, unlearn people pleasing, unlearn feeling like you always have to prove your worth. You have to unlearn tying your identity to struggle. Because if we're being honest, some of us don't even know who we are without the struggle. We've worn strong for so long. We don't know how to be supported. We've been independent for so long. We don't know how to receive. And that's where the real work begins. Not in the chaos, not in the breakdown, but in the stillness, in the quiet moments where you're forced to sit with yourself and ask, who am I really? Not who I had to be, not who life forced me to become, but who I actually am. What do I like? What brings me peace? What feels safe in a healthy way? Because survival mode will have you confusing chaos with comfort. It'll have you choosing relationships that feel like your past instead of your purpose. It'll have you staying in environments that's draining you because dysfunction feels familiar. And just because something feels familiar does not mean it's meant for you. Let me say it one more time. Just because it feels familiar does not mean it's aligned. And that's where a lot of us get stuck. We go back to what we know, even when we know it's not good for us, because at least it's predictable. But mm, growth will stretch you. Growth will introduce you to a version of yourself that feels unfamiliar at first, a version of you that sets boundaries without guilt, that says no without over explaining, that walks away without needing closure from people who never valued you. And that version of you, they don't operate in survival mode. They operate in alignment. They choose peace over chaos. They choose growth over comfort. They choose themselves without apology. And I know that's not easy because choosing yourself will cost you. It might cost you relationships. It might cost you environments. It might even cost you versions of yourself that you thought you needed to survive. But what it gives you is peace, clarity, freedom. And most importantly, it gives you you. So let me ask you again. Who are you without survival mode? Who are you when you're not just trying to make it through the day? Who are you when you allow yourself to rest without feeling guilty? Who are you when you stop chasing and start aligning? Who are you outside of being a mom, a wife, a friend, a daughter? I ask you those things because a lot of times we don't know. Because you don't have to live and keep living in a way that exhausts you. You don't have to keep proving your worth to people who were never meant to see it. You don't have to keep surviving because I know it's exhausting. And when you were created to live. So, we're going to take a breath. You made it this far, not just to survive, but to become. So, if you take anything from today's conversation, let it be this. You are not just here to survive. You are here to live. Everything you went through, every moment that forced you to fight, adapt, and push through, it served a purpose. But it was never meant to define who you are forever. Because healing is where you meet yourself again. And that's without fear, without pressure, without survival mode leading the way. You don't have to stay in survival mode to prove your strength. Take it from me. You don't have to keep struggling to justify your worth. Take it from me. You are allowed to grow into peace, and you are allowed to choose differently. You are allowed to live fully. And when you do that, you don't just change your life, you become a reflection of what healing looks like for others. So, I'll leave you with this on this episode. Remember, your destiny is by choice, not by chance. And until next time, keep walking in your truth, keep healing, and find out who you are outside of survival mode. Bye.